students can choose between the performance and the production track. Our students stand out because the program seeks to capitalize on the growth of the industry. So we give our students in-depth training in histories, in theories, and also in practice. Anybody who is interested and who is very much willing to learn about production and performance can definitely enroll in Benilde's Theater Arts program. Because we, as their faculty, we're also very much willing to teach them. The Theater Arts program fosters innovation through diverse inclusion. By being inclusive, we support and respect differences. This can actually be reflected in the quality of education, the environment, and the work that we produce. Our faculty are industry practitioners and leaders who are trailblazers in the academic field. The Theater Arts program creates a great environment conducive to learning and fostering creativity and technical innovation because we offer the students with the most current and advanced facilities.
I've been a theater professional for more than 15 years. I have a master's degree. I am a senior artist teacher of the Philippine Educational Theater Association, or PETA. I'm also an associate festival director of the Fringe Manila International Festival, particularly in charge of the program for Fringe University. I've trained with PETA, Tanghalang Pilipino, UP. I've trained with Stella Adler Studio of Acting and Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts as well. I teach introductory subjects in the practice of theater. I also teach theater history and theater readings, particularly those of theories, and also that of acting. Teaching is a way for me to contribute positively to the industry, to produce future theater professionals who will continuously explore possibilities and raise the standards of the industry, especially here in the Philippines. But more importantly, I teach to share the belief that theater is more than just a form of entertainment. It can bridge gaps and unify communities. It can resolve conflict. It can be a tool to effect positive social change. We welcome individuals who have the desire or passion, who would like to explore ways on how to tell stories differently, whether they want to create them, perform them, or simply make it happen. In the theater arts program, we don't just teach our students. We guide them in the start of their journey to discover themselves and discover their potentials, discover their capacities to create, and more importantly, believe that they can make things happen for themselves, for their communities, for Filipinos, and hopefully for the world. Musta is a multisensory, experiential journey that takes the audience through immersive spaces that unravels the inner workings of depression and mental health difficulties.
To me, I find it very brave and encouraging because an issue about mental health is very relevant. It's a conversation right now, and it gives the information out there that something is happening and there's something we can do about it.
The goal of the production is to encourage greater awareness about depression and about mental health. But it's actually more than just awareness. By putting the contraction of the Filipino word kamusta, how are you, or musta, as a title, it intends to interrogate the kind of relationships that we form within our communities, within our societies.
When it comes to technical and the creative process, it was actually really fun and of course busy because we had a lot of installations, but we also got challenging part of the technical and designing of the production itself. Is we actually used recycled bottles, the garbage bags and all that.
A lot about this production that's very new and very uncommon about any production that involves story because it requires the audience to participate willingly and with a sense that they can choose how quickly they want to go through the story or how deeply they want to be involved in the story.
I feel great. I feel very, as a Benilde student, I feel very honored to be part of an event such as this, because it really provides us a training ground for our education. In here, we really learn by doing, and that's the beauty that Benilde does.
So I'm actually grateful for having this kind of events because I'm able to portray my abilities as an arts manager. I'm able to communicate and connect with people, not only communicate with people, but also be able to know more about the production itself. You get involved in the production, and it's really great.
Musta tells a story about depression, but it's more than just that. We want people to be aware of themselves. We want people to be aware of other people, be mindful of their experiences so that they will have an idea on how to live life each and every single moment of it.
I love to be a lighting designer, and I think lighting design is such an incredible way of artistically working. It's always very hard to explain my profession because it has so much artistic in it, and together it's also technical. It's wonderful of Benilde to do this.
Being here to learn about lighting designing is a way to widen my skills and abilities to put up a good production, because lights has a story to tell also. It's not just about script, but it's also about how you light the stage.
My experience in the masterclass so far has been fun and educational, since this is my first time actually knowing about lights, and so far I've learned a lot. Everything from colors to shadows, because every little detail that you think is not necessary is actually a big thing. You think that lights are just there for show. They actually has meaning. They would either tell a different story or set the mood. So basically everything here is important.
I was able to learn a lot from Sir Hank and Sir Jay. I think it's really important for our course, Theater Arts, especially as a pursuing designer. It gave us a great new perspective on how lighting should be.
This masterclass was designed to teach the student understand the whole production process. Given today's propensity for using technology, which is more on the surface, we'd like to have the student go deeper into the subject matter.
For one, if you have something that you really want, you pursue it. Even though if you have no knowledge, there are a lot of workshops that will teach you from not knowing anything to knowing something, and that's actually a pretty big deal because you can apply that to you in the future.
It's a wonderful opportunity for the students because they will have an opportunity to work with somebody from a distance. I cannot really say what they have to take. Everybody comes with their own ideas and the things that they want to learn. I can give them just another step in their career and in their ideas. To the students, enjoy theater because that's community and that's how we love the world.
Before we begin today's webinar episode, we invite you to join us in prayer and afterwards in the singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
Let me be the change I want to see. To do with strength and wisdom all that needs to be done, and become the hope that I can be. Set me free from my fears and hesitations. Grant me courage and humility. Give me the spirit to face the challenge and start the change I long to see. Today I start the change I want to see. Even if I'm not the light, I can be the spark in faith, service and communion. Let us start the change we want to see, the change that begins in me. Today I start the change I want to see. Even if I'm not the light, I can be the spark in faith, service and communion. Let us start the change we want to see, the change that begins in me. Live Jesus in our hearts forever.
Mayang magiliw, kaya sa silangan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lumang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiging, sa manlulupig, di ka masisi. Sa lahat ng mundong sasimoy at sa langit mamahaw, may nilagang tulad, awit sa panlayang minamahal. Ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidibig. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng buwan, ating pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya ng may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Good afternoon, everyone. thoughts with us. I'm joining this session from Mandaluyong, where you are joining us from by typing on the Facebook comment box. Please note that we have at least a 20-second delay as we are broadcasting live from Zoom and to this Facebook stream. Right now, we continue to navigate this unprecedented time, and so far, the only thing certain is the uncertainty of our situation. And as we transition into the new realities brought about by the pandemic, more than ever, artists are needed to imagine, realize, and manifest new visions for the future. And so we designed this webinar series for you, artists, students, enthusiasts, or anyone who might find our sessions helpful and encouraging during this difficult period, whatever stage of coping or recovery you might find yourselves in. The important thing is that we be together, which is the title of this webinar series. So, just a bit of information about the webinar series. Be Together is organized by the Theater Arts program under the Arts and Culture cluster in the School of Design and Arts of the De La Salle College of St. Benilde. This webinar series is the first of many offerings of the Benilde Theater Series, or BTS, an interdisciplinary platform for practitioners, educators, and researchers, both locally and internationally, to share their significant experiences and studies in the field related to theater and the performing arts. In its first season, Be Together convenes Benildians, friends, and partners in the field of theater and related disciplines in the spirit of mutual goodwill and cooperation. It also aims for the exchange of significant experiences and learnings in responding to the current crisis and provide an opportunity to discuss and listen to valuable insights and strategies in shaping a meaningful future for the industry. The webinar series is divided into 3 strands. To Get Here, which facilitates reflections, learning points, and realizations on current mobility and platform restrictions. To Get There, which examines new strategies and approaches in producing and creating productions geared towards sustainability and promotion of our practice. And Together, which looks into viable ways and means to help the performing arts community during the pandemic. We acknowledge that screen fatigue is real. So, we encourage you to go see the webinar sessions that you feel might be useful to you, and of course that you'll help us share the word, especially to people and groups who could benefit from our session. So, just quickly before I hand it over to our speaker, a few housekeeping rules. During the session, we invite you to engage with each other on the comment section of this live stream. Please feel free to contribute your thoughts and ideas, or maybe even share a link or an example relating to the topic to enrich the discussion for everyone. Also, if you have questions for our speaker, please send it through the comment section of this live stream. Or if you want to remain anonymous in asking your question, you can send it through Facebook Messenger by directly messaging this page. We have a wonderful team managing your comments, and we will try to get through as many questions as we can during the Q&A after our speaker's presentation. More importantly, we invite you to help us improve this webinar series by completing a quick survey, which will be posted occasionally in the Facebook comment section of this live stream. We are open to suggestions for future webinar topics that might interest you. A recording of our session will be made available on our YouTube channel in the coming weeks, so please check back to this Facebook page in the coming days for the announcement. Please keep yourselves updated to our upcoming webinar sessions this week and fresh new episodes which we will be creating in the coming months based on your suggestions. And of course, while you're here, might as well like and share our page. And lastly, this webinar series is entirely online, free, and open to the public as part of Benilde's fundraising collaboration with De La Salle Philippines Kada Uno on the project BARKada Uno, Benilde Artists Rising, #Bangon Artista, an online fundraising event that seeks to assist the most vulnerable members of the arts and culture sectors. So please donate what you can, and we appreciate your help. All right, and that's about it. Let's now go to our 6th webinar episode, Independent, Effective Study Habits for Students at Home. I am excited to introduce our speaker for today. She's a freelance personal and professional trainer and life coach. a certified instructor in New Horizons English language program, and a member of the Philippine Society for Training and Development. Her work is centered on personality development and administrative management. She also held her special studies at the Oregon State University for American Transcendentalism and participated in the Cultural Exchange Program and Study Tour in India. She has an outstanding 35-year record in the academe and in the human resource development field. She also has her share of experiences as a writer, editor, and professional consultant in both private and government organizations. She was featured in the 33rd anniversary March 2017 issue of Woman Today as one of the most empowered women, one of the 33 most empowered women. Our speaker's main purpose in life is to help individuals achieve their utmost potential. Please welcome Ms. Marisyll Pengson.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon, Ms. Marisyll.
Hi, good afternoon, Eric. I'm so happy to be here. Like I told you earlier, I'm feeling a little nervous, but I'm here to share as much as I can with every one of you who are, listening in on this particular webinar sharing. And that's exactly what it's going to be. We're just going to share with each other. So as Eric said, I do encourage you to put comments, to ask questions so that we can align this particular sharing with your needs, with your wants, so that it can be truly helpful to you.
Right. It's also wonderful to have you here with us, and thank you for making time to share with us your thoughts on this particularly interesting and relevant subject matter. So I believe you have a presentation, so I hand it over to you.
All right.
Take it away.
This Techie Lola will attempt, to share screen. There we go. Can you see that? So I'll just put it on slideshow. All right, there you go. These are the things I get nervous about. Anyway, hello to everyone. And, Eric was right. We are in unprecedented times, and that it's so important. And maybe this is the first lesson for the day, is to ask ourselves and to ask each other, how are you today? Because today is pretty much how we are going to live our lives until I don't know when. We go day to day, and that's the new normal. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but we try to make the best of what is here. So it's, the whole carpe diem philosophy. So maybe you can share, engage a little bit. How are you today? I'm sure a lot of us, or many of us right now, we are anxious, we are worried, we are also excited about how things are going to turn out, and maybe that's the best thing that we can acknowledge, is that there is always another side to everything. So there are a lot of negativities ongoing, but also at this time, I've never seen so much creativity blossom, simply because of how we are limited in terms of our space, our time, etc. So I hope that right now you are feeling okay. And it's good enough to be just okay. It's wonderful if you're feeling great. And if you're not as okay, as one of my favorite K-dramas would go, it's okay to not be as okay. Because all this too will pass. So my sharing for this day is independent, studying effectively and efficiently, and that it's not just a good study habit, but it is actually a life skill and competency. And I will explain to you why. I have probably the last time I was in school was for a special program that I took in the US. And, since then I've attended, I don't know, maybe hundreds of webinars since the pandemic. So I have been a student. So my sharing with you will bring together all my experiences as a student from way, way back till the present time. Because, as I will show you later, the reason why we say it's a life skill is because there is a goal that I would like you to be able to achieve. Not just now, not just in the coming years, but for the rest of your lifetime. Now, just some agreements, and I know that Eric already gave some. stay with me. I know that there are a lot of distractions. I will try my best to make this as interesting as possible, but be with me in this moment. And participate actively by asking your questions. I don't see you guys. I wish I could. That's the greatest frustration about being on an online platform. Because I'm really the kind of person that likes to interact. I like to see faces. I want to see you reacting to me. But right now, this is all we've got. So please react via the comment section, the chat page if you are on the Zoom. And mute your microphone while you are listening, so that we can understand each other. And then I put an asterisk here because I wasn't really so sure how this is going to go. But since most of you are on Facebook, I guess, that's not something that's very important right now. And okay, take notes. It's actually one of the strategies I will be talking to you about later. And this is a personal recommendation. You will see later in my presentation, it's mostly images. And there's a reason why I did that. Not too many words is because I want you to take down notes. All right? Notes are great because one, it helps you remember what it is that you listen to at any time, whether it's a lesson or it's a webinar, it helps you to remember. Second, since you cannot take down everything, usually what you end up taking down as notes are any of the following. One, something that really resonated with you, in which case you know that this is something that is calling out to something in you, whether it's mentally or emotionally, take it down. And second, maybe it is what you need to be clarified about. Maybe it's the something that you have a question on. And that's why for me, as a student, as a listener, take down notes. So I hope you have your ball pens and your notebooks. So let's begin. Are you ready? Because I'm really excited. So first, fact, successful individuals are students of and for life. That's why this sharing is not just going to be for until you graduate from college or even your MA, but the truth is studying and learning is something we should do and pursue for the rest of our lives. I love that quote by Michelangelo. I'm still learning, and he said that at 87 years old. Because truly we are wonderfully made, that there will always be things that will open up to us, that will give us new insights, new perspectives, new learning, and that I have to say that because I'm a professional trainer, that once you step into professional life, you will constantly need to learn. It doesn't end with a degree. You're going to have to study how to adjust to the job, what it requires. You're going to have to read through documents and so on and so forth. You're going to have to take training seminars and certification courses. So this comes at a good time, because if you can learn all these strategies I will be sharing with you today, then you are already 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of everybody else who's not at this webinar this afternoon. Okay? Now, what does studying mean? Maybe you can think about that. What does studying mean to you and for you? So, these are some of the few slides that I have words on. So studying is really devoting time and attention. Now, pay attention to those words. Devote, time, attention to learning. Because we're not just going to study for the sake of studying. Study to learn. And learning means acquiring, retaining, because many times we learn and we don't retain what we learn, and it's going to be very hard to apply that which has not been retained, right? And that, as I'm giving you incentives to keep on listening to me, is because when you have learning and study skills, it will increase your self-confidence, your competence at being able to do things well, because competence means doing things well or very well. Skill is just being able to do something. But I'm challenging you to make learning a competence. And the more you achieve your goals, the higher your self-worth is going to be. You're going to see just how much power you have, and how much you have inside of you that can help you to achieve. It also reduces anxiety when you have a system for approaching things that usually concern us, like taking exams and having to submit workload like term papers and all kinds of papers. So it's good to learn a few tips about how to meet deadlines without losing your mind, because that can sometimes feel that way, right? It's like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. They're just like 4 term papers I need to submit. What am I going to do? And that hopefully the skills and competencies you learn will cross over to other life situations at the present and also in the future. Now, 2 things: efficient and effective studying. To me, when I learned this, and unfortunately, I kind of learned it after I was a student, because if I had learned it then, it would have made things a lot easier for me. So when you say efficient, it's doing things the right way. So it's talking about processes, procedures, steps, 1, 2, 3. It talks about tips, it talks about strategies, and how to achieve goals in better ways. So I'm going to teach you some ways of efficiency when it comes to learning. And of course, you cannot be effective unless you are efficient. Now, what is effectiveness? It's doing the right thing. So it's about assessment, it's about evaluation. When we talk about prioritizing, that is efficiency, but more importantly, that is effectiveness. When you're able to decide, what do I need to do first? And how am I going to do this? Effectiveness is also about motivations, passions, and drive, which no one can give to you except yourself. And it's about making choices, it's about making decisions, it's about achieving results, no matter how small. Okay? Because sometimes our mindset is to be an achiever, it's got to be the big results. To me, count your victories every single day, big or small. It means you are taking steps forward towards the achievement of your goals. Okay, so how do we do effective and efficient learning? It begins with self-awareness. I'm a personality development life coach, and really the key to achieving breakthroughs and success is to be self-aware. Socrates, know thyself. So what is it about yourself that you need to get to know? And we are going to limit this to first studying, and maybe I can come back another time and let's talk about it in a more general sense. But the very first thing we need to be self-aware is check your mind and heart set about where you are, what you are doing in the here and the now. I've included 2 of my favorite quotes, so I'm just going to read. The first one is, you were born to win. Do you believe that? But to be a winner, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win. We were all born winners. If we believe we were made in the image and likeness of our God, then we are not destined for mediocrity. The thing is, it will not fall into our laps. If we want to be winners, we need to plan, we need to prepare, we need to expect, and we need to put in effort. The other quote is, you'll never know your, sorry, I can't see it too well because I have what do you call this, videos, but that really it starts with you in terms of taking into consideration and stock the things that you can change and that you act towards those changes that are necessary. So let's do a paradigm shift. I'm not going to go through this anymore in great detail, but stop studying and start learning. Okay? Because studying is more rote, and that's why we have such negativity about it. But if we shift our mindsets and our heart sets that we are not just studying, We are learning. And what are we learning? We are learning skills. We are learning things, insights, perspectives that are not only going to help us now, but will also help us in the future. Oh my gosh, it's raining. Can you hear that? All right. So, first, in terms of self-awareness, find your why. Do you know what your why is? Why are you doing what you're doing? What are your goals? What is your purpose? What is your passion? What is important to you? Right now, as a student, what is your why? Is it to get good grades? Is it to achieve honors? Is it just to pass and get it over with? Is it for your parents? Is it for yourself? Is it for your future? Is it to learn? I would like to recommend that our why is the Accentus spirit. Okay, it might be a strange and alien term to you, but Accentus is a word that was used in ancient times about all the things that a soldier had to wear to battle. So all the accoutrements, from the helmet to the breastplate to the sword, etc., etc. And in this case, the weapons we're talking about is study habits, skills, and competencies so that you can arm yourself for the battles of life, not just now, but also in the future. So let's all be Accentus. When I put up my own training company, that's going to be the name, Accentus. It's armoring yourself. It's making the necessary preparations. It's laying the groundwork and the foundation so we win our battles. Second is we need to develop a growth mindset. And what is a growth mindset? It is exactly what it means, that our spirit is imbued with this desire to grow ourselves, okay? To be better, if not the best versions of ourselves. Not 20 years from now, not 10 years from now, but now, in the here and in the today. And that we must believe that our most basic abilities, through dedication and hard work, can be expanded, developed, maximized. You know, brain's talent, that's just the starting point. People used to say, oh, they get good grades, they don't even make any effort. It's not really true. They do put in the effort, because effort is what pushes, it is the drive. And that when we know that we are capable of achieving a lot, it creates a love of learning in us and a resilience that is essential for us to accomplish. And what is this resilience? Because even sometimes when we make a lot of effort, the result is not exactly how we expected things to be. So bounce back is so important. That we know that, okay, if I didn't do too well at this particular project, the next one, I'm going to make sure that I'll be better, rather than just fall apart and say, I'm not good enough, I can't do this. Is to always give ourselves that growth mindset that, okay, I didn't do this as well now, so next time I'm going to shoot for what is higher. And as a personal life philosophy, never settle for mediocrity when greatness can exist. No, no, no to PNR. Do you know what PNR is? Pwede na rin. So much failure in the world is because of that attitude. Okay na yan, pwede na rin. And you see it from the highest, from our government officials, all the way down to Joe and Harry and Susie and Annie, is that sometimes we kind of get used to being mediocre. And we were not intended to be mediocre. When I used to teach high school, I taught in Saints Cove for 20 years. I would always, debate with my students. Why is it that you set goals for yourself? Ma'am, makapasa lang. So makapasa is 75. I said, if you set your goal at 75, if you miss even just by 1 point, you fail. But if you set it at 90, and then of course they're reacting, Miss naman, ang hirap-hirap na nga maka 75, 90 pa. I said, effort lang, di ba? Because even if you fell 10 points short of your 90 goal, you are at 80, not 74, not 75. And 80, the 8 is certainly a better number than the 7. Am I right? But you have to build that excellence attitude, that I can be better. I can be the best. Because that is so important, not just for student life, but for life in general. And then let's go to, once you've found your why, let's find your how. And this is really all about self-management now. So much of this is going to be dependent on you. So, what are the questions that we need to consider here? Number one, what is your learning style? Because we all learn in different ways. You're luckier because now your teachers are more aware of learning styles. When it was my generation, we just kind of sat and listened to our teachers. Everything was determined by how they thought they should teach something. But now there's a lot of independent ways to learn. So even if your teacher's style is not exactly yours, you can find a way to balance that out by learning according to how you learn. Like if you're a visual learner, you can create notes, you can create illustrations, while your teachers are discussing things. So it's really going to be up to you to determine, how do I learn and how can I learn better? You can also ask, what other study skills do I need? And hopefully I can help you out with this one, because I'm going to show you some tips and strategies. Of course, nothing comes easy. You really have to commit, and you have to discipline yourself to be able to do anything well, not just studying. That's why I'm saying the mindset, the why, is going to extend past just being a student in college. And even consider the best study time. We all have different clocks. So there's some people, they work best in the morning. There are some people in the afternoon, some people late at night. Like my daughter, she works best at night. So sometimes I get on her case about it, but she goes, Mom, I'm more productive at night. So what she does is she sleeps during the day. She's like an owl. She wakes up at night, and then she does whatever it is that she needs to do and is able to accomplish more. So those are the things that you need to think about. What kind of environment do you need? Are you the kind of person who needs study group, or are you the kind of person who needs to be able to study by yourself? Because like I said, we have different learning modes. So if you're the kind who needs to study alone, then you should be able to articulate to your friends, to your family, okay, in the next 2-3 hours, okay, put a do not disturb sign on your door, and I need to have my study time. Or if you're the kind that learns more when with other people, then do engage in study groups, or maybe even paired or dyad studying. And what are your study plan routine? That one I can share with you. This third bullet is also interesting, because what are your positive and negative triggers? So when we say positive triggers, what inspires you to learn and to study? I discovered that when I was in high school, I was PNR, and I will be forever sorry that I could have done more in high school. But at the same time, I had a greater appreciation for what I achieved in college. Because when I started to study harder, and I had a why that was very real and relevant to me, I started making it to the dean's list. And once you're there, you don't want out. You want to stay on the list. So it was my positive trigger. Negative triggers are the things that take you away, the things that get in the way of you being able to follow a routine. So you have to know what these are, like distractions. And sometimes they could be friends, they could be family, they could even be your pets. So what are the things that prevent you from, being focused? And what kind of help do you need? There is no shame in asking for help. You know, I was tutored all throughout high school math. There were many things that I gave up for it. I loved to sing, so I was part of the Glee Club. In my senior year, I just couldn't hack trigonometry and physics together. So I had to give up Glee Club because I had to be tutored on the hours of my club. But I made it, you know, I made it through high school. And really, sometimes you just have to do what you need to do. So if there are questions that need to be answered, or we'll just wait, okay? Now, we talked about efficiency and effectiveness. Let's talk first. I will give you now tips on efficient studying, doing things the right way. Of course, first is show up. Attend your classes. Attend your focus group discussions. Attend your study groups. Because if you're not there, it's going to be very hard to catch up. Presence is everything. And this one, as a life skill, anywhere, whether it is for school, friendships, family relationships, professional life, you have to be there. You have to show up. Because if you're not there, you're going to miss out. Okay? And it's not FOMO in the sense that the millennials have articulated FOMO, but really the discipline of being there. I know it's extra hard nowadays, especially if you have to go through several online classes. And what some people do, they turn off their videos, so they get distracted. Show up in the best ways possible, where your teachers can see you. Just be there. Presence is important. Second, find your focus. Nobody can do this for you. I am so sorry. You're going to have to do this for yourself. And that's why your why is so important, because it anchors the focus. When you know you have a goal, when your why is very clear and most of all relevant to you, your focus is going to come, you know, at the heels of that why that you have. Also, as a life skill, be intentional. Like I said, you know, don't leave things to chance, because you do have certain things within your control. So what you can control, be intentional about it. Eyes and effort on the prize, and these are results. These are your whys. Keep your eyes there and keep on track. And if you do take 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, it's okay. Just be intentional about keeping yourself on track. Work smarter, not harder. Okay? Don't be busy, be productive. Cannot imagine how busy we are with things that don't really move us forward. So we could be busy watching K-drama. We could be busy chatting with our friends on the phone. But are we being productive? And I'm going to show you a principle where work smarter, not harder, is really the rule of the game. Prioritize. Maybe some of you are familiar with the Eisenhower matrix. It was inspired by the president, Dwight Eisenhower, because when he was trying to juggle all the things he had to do in his career, from the military all the way down to his presidency, he divided um, the things he needed to do in terms of a quadrant, where you had urgent and important, and anything urgent and important must be done today. And then important but not urgent is you can do tomorrow. Not important but urgent, maybe you can delegate. Um, you know, maybe you needed to buy something from the store, but you needed to finish a project. Maybe you can request someone to buy it for you rather than having to go out, drive, or whatever, commute, and have to buy it yourself. And what is not important and not urgent, you just let go of. Don't even pay attention to it anymore. For me, the Eisenhower matrix, you know, I found the simplest diagram for you, because here it already has the plan of action. It has a directive. What is important and urgent? Do today. What is important and not urgent, maybe you can leave for tomorrow. What is not important but urgent, you can delegate. Ask someone else to do it for you. And what is not important and not urgent, you can probably just drop. So prioritizing, what should I do first? The Eisenhower matrix is a very, very good strategy to use, which can also help with this. Make a doable to-do list. Now, why do I say doable? Because we are so fond of writing to-do lists that have so many items that at the end of the day, we were not even able to cross off one or two. Write a doable. What can be done in the so many hours that you have? And here's the fact. You only have 24 hours in a day, no more, no less. No matter how you do not do or you do so much, that's it, 24 hours. So you can do your doable to-do list, base it on your Eisenhower matrix. Try to put on the top of the list your urgent and important items. And then as you go down, then, at least up to what you can delegate. Now, there's no greater satisfaction that every time you finish a task, you get your ball pen, or, you can do apps for this as well. But because I'm a techie lola, I'm just telling you, find the apps yourself. I'm a person who likes to write, so it feels so good to be able to scratch something or check something out of that to-do list, because it tells you I achieved something. Even if it was just one thing, for as long as that one thing was significant, it was a good day. It was a good use of the day. Manage your time. Like I said, the given is only 24 hours. And when you divide the 24 hours, you need to sleep, you need to eat, you need to take care of yourself, and then you need to study, you need to do projects. So management of time is not only for students, it's for everybody for the rest of our lives. That one of the secrets to a successful life and a productive life where we work smarter, not harder, is managing our time. So let me give you some time management strategies. So some of you may be familiar with the Pareto rule. So Pareto was an economist, and this is actually a life principle. I'll put it very simply. 20% effort for 80% result, not the other way around. Okay? Least effort, biggest gains. And we need to be able to understand what will give us the biggest gains at the least amount of effort. For example, I used to tell my students, they would submit projects, spend so much time on the artwork, on selecting the fonts, but the point system for the art is 10 points. The content, nakalimutan na, no? The content was 70%. So, nakuha yung 10 dun sa art, pero yung 70% content, nandun siya sa 30 because it was not as substantive. And for those of you who are student leaders, I moderated the student council of St. Scope for 8 years. And to me, I always told the girls, 80-20 tayo. If you're gonna tell me that you want to raise 50,000 pesos, but it will involve 6 months planning, that's not Pareto. 6 months of effort, yung pala ang target amount of 50,000. Maybe you can look for 10 people who can give you 5,000 each, and your objective has been met. I hope I'm making sense. I don't know because I'm not getting any reactions. But to me, do Pareto. Look at, am I expending too much time and effort on something that's going to yield very small or minimal results? So we do the 80% results with only 20% effort. And then eat the frog. I love this because what do you feel when you say eat the frog? Di ba yuck? In time management, one of the things that we are recommended to do is remove the nasty stuff first. Because usually our tendency is to leave the nasty, yucky, I don't want to do this stuff for the last. And before we know it, we are out of time. We paid attention to all the things that should not have even been paid attention to. I used to do this a lot. When I wouldn't want to do what I needed to do, I'd start cleaning my desk. You know, I'd fix all my ball pens by color, by everything. And then because I keep thinking, oh no, I'm just distressing so that I'm focused. And then before I know it, oh my God, ubos na yung panahon. So Eat the Frog is the concept of address the nasty, difficult, I don't really want to do this stuff first. Because once that's out of the way, everything is fun, and the enjoyable things already. The Pomodoro technique. The Pomodoro technique is literally this. I don't know if you can see this. This is a Pomodoro tomato, but it's actually a kitchen timer. Okay, now it's a time management trick, especially for those people who have many distractions. So the recommendation, and I have this, I bought this several years ago at the kitchen section of a department store, is that you set your timer for 25 minutes. And for that 25 minutes, you are just going to do whatever is on the item of your to-do. Okay? And after the 25 minutes is up, it rings, and then you take a short break. Now, this is a very disciplined break, 3 to 5 minutes, get a drink, do your loo break or your bathroom break, you know, munch on something if you're already hungry. And once the 5 minutes are up, reset your Pomodoro timer. Actually, it can be any Pomodoro timer, but I just find that this is so cute. It adds to my inspiration. Sorry, mababaw ako that way. I like pretty things around me. So, you repeat. Usually they say if there's a lot of things to be done, it's 4 cycles. But sometimes with me, I try to do two cycles. So, you know, I try to do at least 2 cycles first, because if there are other things that I need to pay attention to, at least I have finished and ticked off, you know, several items in my to-do list already. So it's really as simple as it sounds. Just choose your task, set your timer, and if you want, you can get your own Pomodoro. I checked with Lazada. It's available. It's not very expensive. Or, you know, at least delivery. You don't have to go to the department store. And then, let's go to study tips. So if you have any questions about the time management techniques that I have talked about, please ask them, or, you know, put your comments on the comment section. Now, here are the study tips I'd like to share. Since you are mostly in this kind of a format, I have to tell you as a communications person, because that's my field of expertise, communication, that the harder task is listening. You know, as a teacher, I've done this so many times. I can do this upside down. You're the ones that are absorbing, you're taking it in, you have distractions, and that's why focus was part of being effective. So you need to listen attentively and then ask questions. That's what we are here for. We are here to guide you. And let me just reiterate something that is a fact. We are not mind readers. When we ask you, do you understand? Is this making sense? Do you have any questions? It is because we can only project up to a certain degree. We're not able to look into your mind. So unless you articulate yourselves, Miss, you use that word, I don't know the meaning of that word, and no shame in asking. Or could you please rephrase that concept in simpler terms? Because that's our duty, that's our responsibility. So if you need something paraphrased, you know, you ask for it. And you, as you're listening, try to express what it is that you're hearing via your notes in terms of paraphrasing, summarizing. And this one, the 4th bullet, tune into the signposts. In communication, signposts are words that speakers use to indicate, like when they say, oh guys, listen to this, okay? Oh guys, I need you to pay attention because this is important. Please take out your pens, write this down. Those are signposts because your facilitators, your teachers, they're already telling you that in this 1 hour, these are the special things that you need to take note of. That's why they're called signposts, is because it's already telling you this is the direction that you should take. And then listen to your feelings. Do you have to like everything that you are learning? I wish I could get answers to this. Um, I guess the answer is no. There were a lot of subjects that I didn't really enjoy, especially when I didn't know any better. So I didn't pay attention. But you see, all the subjects that are in your curriculum, you need to pass to be able to graduate. So walang choice. So whether you like it or not, listen attentively. And when I started listening attentively and tried to redirect my feelings, because sometimes where are the feelings coming from? I don't like the subject. I don't like my teacher. But you can't do anything. Your teacher is your teacher for the rest of the sem. So you have to like really get past it. You have to, this is what I call level up, you know. I have to get past my feelings. I have to get past my dislikes and balance everything out, because sometimes that's what we do. We pay a lot of attention to the subjects we like, but we don't pay attention to the subjects we don't like, or we don't respond as positively to the teachers we don't like, but we still all have to pass those subjects, right? And also try to put yourself in the shoes of your teachers. I'm not copping out, but we are just human as well. We are tired, we get tired, we get cranky. And so learn how to feel it out. As a teacher, I learned to articulate. I would tell my students, guys, I need you to just kind of be more subtle today because I have the beginnings of a migraine. And I realized that when you tell students that, they're really a lot more caring within that hour. You know, they don't move around as much, because for people who suffer from migraine, movements make things worse, noise makes things worse. But if they don't articulate to you, just try to put yourself in the shoes of your teacher. How easy is it to run a class, especially on this platform, where you don't see your students, you don't get any reactions, you feel like you're talking to yourself. And I'm just always hanging on to the idea that I have listeners at the other side of this camera of my laptop that are interested in what I'm saying, and we will know at the end. Okay? We're almost at the end. Read to understand. As students and later on as professionals, we are never going to stop reading, and you should not, because reading opens up to us worlds we will not be able to experience physically. I was a literature teacher, and oh, how I loved literature, because it allowed me to step into times, into lives, into experiences that I would never be able to in this body. And that many things that I learned, I did not learn in the classroom, but I learned on my own. And that's why we're saying independent study. Like when you do cross-referencing, like let's say you were given a text by a teacher, it doesn't make a lot of sense to you. Try to look at other sources that speak of the same subject matter, because they may be able to explain it in ways that are simpler, easier to understand. When I was taking my MA in Ateneo, I would always tell my professors that, because we would read convoluted. And can you imagine, when you take an MA in literature, you would be forced to read theory and texts like you're eating bananas, you know, like 4 or 5 books for every session. And I would always say, why didn't they just express it in simpler terms? But you see, the academe is the academe. So you can do that. You can do cross-referencing. Read to understand what is the main idea of the text, the piece, the article, whatever it is that you're asked to read. What ideas support the main idea? What arguments? And then start to relate to it. You know, is it something that resonates with me? Do I have another opinion? You know, how was it organized? Are there new words? Because this is the way you will grow your vocabulary. I'm sorry, I'm a nerd. So every time I come across a new word, I kind of take it down and immediately, and now it's really at your fingertips. Just get your phone and look, okay, what is the meaning of that word and how is it pronounced? So that you hit two birds with one stone. Then summarize and paraphrase what you have read. You know, I do a lot of corporate trainings, and right now, so much on business writing and reading comprehension, because the complaints of the bosses is the younger professionals, they don't know how to read and therefore are not able to report or summarize what they have read. You see, it's a skill that you need for life. And learn how to outline. Okay, like just do bullets, main idea, bullet, 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 main idea, bullet, bullet, bullet. Because when you study, you don't have to go back to read the entire text again because you have already expressed the material in your own words. Okay? And remember, I told you agreements, note, note, note. Note it to remember it. So, what should you take down? What you feel is important. What your teachers tell you as signposts. This you need to know. This is important. This will come out in the test. Take note. Okay? And you can only take note if you're listening. What is it that struck you? What is it that resonated with you? Because that is when learning becomes very personal. We don't all learn from the same points. There are things that will, just kind of whiz by us, and there are things that, hey, that's a great idea. I think, I can do something with that. And also questions. I hope that as we are talking, you are writing down questions of what you want to ask me, clarify with me, so that I will be in a position to set things straight, maybe to add a little bit more if you needed a little bit more explanation. And the notes to be used for studying during class and most of all after class. Okay, I'm not trying to be mayabang, all right? But one of the biggest challenges of graduate school was passing the comprehensive exams. And because I was such a note taker, I did not have to read all the books, because when you say comprehensive exams, it's all the courses you took. And they're just really books, thick books, theories, literary texts, and everything else. But because I was the notes queen, I studied my notes. I didn't have to reread because I was very diligent about doing the outlines. And when you say what is important, of course, writers are important. Dates that they wrote, normally they don't really ask, but they do ask about periods, at least the period, that this writer wrote in this period, or this person came up with this idea during this time. And that based on your notes in the next class, you can ask questions even more from your teachers. You can say, sir, ma'am, when I was reading my notes, I realized that I need a little bit more explanation on this point. So notes to me are very, very important. And I keep my notes. So sometimes, something comes up, like just very recently, I was requested by a parent to tutor her 13-year-old son on literature. He is in Yangon, and the poor boy is so stressed by the coup. So I'm helping him out. So labas lahat ang notes there. Print your study crib. This is towards the end already. Your workspace is very, very important. Now, remember we said what kind of environment do you need? Now, if you're the kind of person who falls asleep, if you're studying in your bed, please don't study on your bed. Go somewhere else. Sit up. Whatever works for you. Make sure, this is a Japanese principle, 5S. Have what you need what you have. So anything extraneous will be distractions. Remove from your study space. And just my recommendations, have a dictionary with you they're very good friends. Do you know that when I'm not doing anything, I read the dictionary because I learn new words, I learn where they come from. It's so fun. Like Tagalog has added to the English dictionary words like yo-yo and boondocks. Kasi siguro when the Americans came in the turn of the century, naririnig nila taga-bundok, taga-bundok. So now, when you see boondocks, B-O-O-N-D-O-C-S, rural, provincial, di ba? So they appropriated it. And now kilig, which I feel has no real translation, is also in dictionary. And because you have to write a lot, maybe you can also next time, because it is too long already, there is a difference between academic writing and general writing. I hope you guys know that. And there's a difference between a reaction paper, a reflection paper, a review paper, a report paper. Iba-iba yan. So you will need the manuals to refer to, and especially your style formats. No? So if you, I guess since you're in the humanities, that would be the MLA format or even the Turabian. So you have to have the manuals with you because nobody can memorize all of those things, you know, how to cite references, how do you know, when does the last name come before the first name in your bibliography, etc. When is it that you have to write out a time, and when can you use the Arabic numbers? That's all there. And for me, one of my favorites, I have it here in my workspace, is Trunk and White, Elements of Style. So it's like a little white book that has all the most important things that we need to remember as writers. So subject verb agreements and the general rules for format and styling. And when you need to write, okay, write in white heat, revise in cold blood. I'm borrowing this from your neighbor, huh? I learned this in grad school. Don't edit yourself when you sit down to write. Just write, because the minute you start being OC with is it tamang grammar, tama ba spelling ko, mawawala yung creative or writing juices. Just write. Maybe do the Pomodoro 25 minutes, I'm going to write. And then leave the writing. When you come back, revise in cold blood and edit in cold blood. What does this mean? This work is not mine. Okay, so revision is content, edit is mechanics. So you revise, you rearrange, especially when you have a good outline, it's a lot easier already. And then you can also do the edits for your mechanics. So this one is when you need the book, your punctuations, your spellings, usage, okay? And create a system for doing research. Maybe I can come back and teach you research methods, and seek feedback from those you trust. Like you can ask somebody to read, do you think this is okay? Am I making sense here? And you know, there's so many things I want to share with you, but time is so limited. Like learning how to write the essay is such an important skill. And you realize that all those methods of organization we are taught for writing are actually thought process that are so important in communication. Like cause and effect. If we were talking about problem solving, state the problem, determine the causes, determine the effects, then offer the solutions. It's a mind strategy. It's an efficient way of doing things already. If you're asked to write a descriptive anything, use order of space. When you enter say, write about your bedroom. When you enter my bedroom, to the right, you will see this one. On the left, you see on my ceiling, I have, diba? These are actually thought processes that you can translate both in writing and also in speech. And have fun. Make your learning edutainment. Like me, I have lots of colored ball pens, highlighters, markers, name it. I have washi, what do they call that? The tapes. You know, I have all colors of index cards because I like to, you know, especially if I need to arrange, I write my headings let's say chapter 1, I do yellow. Chapter 2, I do, or second paragraph, I do blue. And then it's easier to get the idea. So all the yellows together, all the blues together, all the greens together. And then it's so much easier now to collate and work it out. Also, do have convos with your classmates. Have sounding boards with each other because it's so much more fun. I think, there's several kids who have been found crying during online class. And when they were asked, why is it because the subject is hard? You know what they said? No, we miss our classmates. Because really what was school about, it was, the excitement going to the classroom, sharing baon, sharing stories. So find time for that. And note that all the learnings that resonated with you, and do take care of yourself. Okay, take the time to take care of yourself, whatever that means. And hopefully it's positive self-care. Okay, we're talking here of doing things that are beneficial. You need a warm bath, you need your ice cold, whatever, drink, for as long as you know that it's healthy and it relaxes you, it makes you more focused. Do what you need to do. Seek help. There is no shame in seeking help. So mag-SOS na kayo if you truly need it. You don't have to go at this alone. And I'm not just talking about study skills and learning skills. I'm talking about mental and emotional states as well. When you're feeling overwhelmed, talk to someone about it. Someone who will just listen to you. And please premise, okay? In communication, you have to tell the people, I want to talk about something, but I don't need advice. I just want to vent. I just want to get it off my chest so that at least the other person will not keep cutting you and giving you advice and you're getting annoyed because you know naman what you're supposed to do. You just need to get it out of your chest. So yes, do all of those things for yourself. And of course, act. Step by step. Every little step forward is a victory until you reach that ledge where you say, yay, I did it, whatever that is. I passed my term paper. Doesn't have to be the end goal of graduating per se, but on a daily basis, the things that have to be done. And in a nutshell, take charge, do what needs to be done, pursue your goals. Look at the big picture. Resilience, the new word. Have grit, be resilient. Validate yourself and take care and celebrate everything. And really be a student for life. It's just going to serve you to the best to be a student for life. So ongoing, voluntary, self-motivated pursuit of being better, wiser, more knowledgeable. So thank you so much. I hope that this was helpful. And if you have questions, I put my Gmail there also. So Eric,
Yes.
do we have questions? I hope,
All right.
I hope that was good. I mean, I hope I was able to share a few doable things.
Yes. Thank you very much, Miss Marisyll. You can stop share now so we can open our screen better. Please stay with us. We'll have a Q&A portion. So now, for all of us who are tuning in, we now open the session for some questions from our audience. Please send it through the comment section of this live stream, or if you are shy or you want to remain anonymous and ask your question, you can send it through the Facebook Messenger by directly messaging this page. We have a wonderful team of Jello, Kate, Jadine, Rafa, and Anne managing your comments on social media. And here on Zoom, we have with us the amazing team of Glenn, Shema, Bessie, Mariel, Jerry, and Rachel. Now, we will try to get through as many questions as we can, but if we run out of time, we encourage you to continue the conversation online through various social media channels. Ms. Marisyll has generously offered her email as well. You can tag our speaker on social media handles. And please don't forget to use the hashtag Betha so that others can also learn from your thoughts. All right. Ma'am, Ms. Marisyll, thank you so much. That was an amazing sharing. I mean, you went through an entire spectrum of learning strategies. I cannot stop taking notes.
Find your best style. And maybe just as an incentive to question, being able to pose questions. I always tell my audience, whether they're students or professionals, just to remember this. My favorite Chinese saying: he who asks a question may be a fool for 5 minutes, but he who does not ask may be a fool forever.
Wow.
You move from ignorance to knowledge when you ask questions
Right.
rather than,
Yeah.
"Ay, kaya naman." Oo.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I do encounter some students who are afraid of asking questions
Yes. No, 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 no,
with the
no.
fear that they might be asking stupid questions.
So,
And
well, if I'm sorry, but if you have good teachers who are really committed teachers, no question is stupid.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. But what I loved about this particular session is that um, it also takes studying and learning into a more so we say uh, philosophical or life lesson level. Because a lot of students that I've encountered think of studying as a duty or responsibility just so that they can graduate, like a coursework. Even the term itself, it's just coursework, and they couldn't wait to graduate and be in the real world. But they keep forgetting that this is part of the real world, the studying part. Yeah, that's what I actually liked. But
Well,
what
because
I do love also.
yeah, because I'm a life coach, so everything it has to connect to
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
We do have a couple of questions coming in now. From Rafael Adasa, what is the best way to combat procrastination? And maybe what are ways to prevent it from happening?
Okay. So first we need to know the why. Why do I procrastinate? So usually procrastination can have many things, reasons. Like one, I don't really like what I'm supposed to do. Second, there are so many distractions, things that are more fun, things that I like better, or sometimes it's really laziness. Sometimes procrastination is lack of motivation. When I do life coaching, I always say, find the why. Why are you procrastinating? Because there will always be a reason. And you will find the answer, and the answer will tell you how you're going to address it. Like, for example, if I'm procrastinating because it's a subject matter I don't like, or I don't like teacher, okay, let's get real. No choice. You're going to have to go through the subject anyway, so might as well already eat the frog. Okay, this is where the eat the frog comes in. In procrastination, kasi sometimes we procrastinate on the things that are extra challenging for us. For whatever reason, it's difficult, it's not to my liking. But that's why I love that particular strategy of eat the frog already. Gawain mo na so that kasi once it's done, then you have all the free time to do all the other things that you want to do. But if you're there, you're doing, let's say you're playing games, no? And then it's there in your head, I'm supposed to do that paper. Oh my God, that paper. And then before you know it, nakalagpas na 3-4 hours. So do the paper. At least do a part of it. You don't have to finish the entire thing. And that's why my little Pomodoro is a favorite, because this is one way to address procrastination. 25 minutes.
Actually, there are a lot of things. If you have the time later after this webinar session, you can look at some of the comments on Facebook. It's just too bad that we cannot see it right now.
Mhm.
But there are actually some students who already mentioned the Pomodoro right before you discussed it. So they are one or two people are aware of the Pomodoro technique. I myself actually try to use the Pomodoro technique. There is an app now available
Yes.
that you can download, and it gives you the time. But sometimes it happens that I get into this momentum of writing that even if it alarms me to take a break, sometimes I still continue, and then I do end up feeling tired, and then I wouldn't know. Most of the time, I wouldn't know if I should have taken a break. But so far, when I follow the Pomodoro technique, it does help me last longer.
Yes. Yes.
But when I ignore it, I kind of burn out towards the end.
Because that's why I gave several strategies, because different things work for different people. Or you can take a little bit of, from here and there. Like for me, the Pomodoro with the Eisenhower matrix works very well. Because for me, Pareto is no longer just a time management principle. It's effort principle for me, that I must be able to achieve 80% with only 20% effort, you know.
Yeah.
So you can take a little bit from everything. And like I said, whatever inspires you. So I'm not an app person, so I like to hold that. Don't you think my Pomodoro is so cute? So yeah.
Yes, actually, some students actually commented that it's cute. Actually,
Yeah. I think it's available in Lazada. Yeah.
In Lazada, everything is available in Lazada now.
I know.
But interesting about the Eisenhower matrix and the Pareto rule, because like you said at the onset of this webinar, some of these ideas have probably been encountered by students.
Yes.
But the way you explained it, the Pareto rule, I kind of had a good grasp after explaining it, because I know the 2080 rule, right? In principle. But when you spoke about focusing on 20% or just 10% of the entire grading scheme, putting all of your effort, that's when I realized that, sometimes I do spend a lot of time fixing the PowerPoint, but not really minding the content of the PowerPoint. It takes a lot of my time. So,
True. And it takes a lot of time to do PowerPoints. I think the same with me, because I like to find the best visuals. And sometimes that's why up to the last moment, I keep changing. So it's something that has to, it's a discipline also.
Yeah. And also, in relation to the Pareto rule, you mentioned a while ago about writing without editing yet. The white heat, write in white heat, revise in cold blood.
Yes.
Because that also happens to me once in a while. I mean, I keep on focusing on what I'm writing, or I'm stopping and editing and stuff like that. No,
Yes.
And it consumes a lot of my time, actually. So that actually makes sense.
No, because it's also inspiring. Like when you just write, and then you see, oh, I have 6 pages already. But if you're there, lalo na yung parang if you're a grammar Nazi, like you're talking about nominative forms. It is she. Hindi, it is her. Ano ba yan? It is she, it is her. Nako, ang tagal na naubos na panahon. So just write it, rack up the number of pages, and then when you sit down, you get it, and then you be very objective about editing yourself already. And this is the time when, like I said, because in communication, the really disciplined form is writing. In speech, you can make a lot of mistakes that people will not even note, but anything written is a document. So all errors are there, and it's all attributable to you. So even if let's say somebody else wrote it for you, just make sure you edited it, and really, it's also a discipline, learning how to edit, like paring it down. Maybe another time we can talk about that, because business writing is so different, right? Like the shift I had to make when I joined the corporate world, where my 10 sentences had to be 3 sentences if I could pare it down to that. Yes.
Yeah. All right. We have another question. As a person who tends to take note and highlight almost everything in the reading or in the book, can you give us a tip and or guidelines on how to organize and prioritize data? Thank you. That's also happening to me.
Yes, because you can do your first round, and I do that a lot. I what I normally do is I pencil first. I underline in pencil. And then when I am ready to kind of organize the outline in my head, that's when I do the highlighting, so that I am not very confused. But you see, the training is to look for the main idea. So normally I try to look for that first, and then I try to look at supporting data. Okay, so let's say I realize that, this is talking about this. Now, what of the rest of the text is expanding, arguing for, against that particular idea? It becomes a little easier. But remember, these are skills and competencies that need time. And, realistically speaking, it won't come to you all at once. You learn as you go, even your own systems, because my system may not even work for you. But that's good. You're doing the highlighting. And then after that, maybe you can do the reverse. Pencil, underline in pencil the ideas that you think are the best already.
Yeah. But because it also happens to me, I end up highlighting almost majority of the text in the book. So what I do na lang is I change the color also.
Yeah.
So I have this, I have green for the really important stuff, and then the yellow for the supporting stuff, and then orange if there's this one unrelated information that I want to remember also.
And I just want to clarify what I said about cross-referencing. Because in high school, yung cross-referencing na alam nila is to do cliff notes, like for literature. Yeah. It's helpful, but it's not productive because there's no effort on your part. So when I say cross-reference, I'm talking about books that are theoretical in nature, concepts and ideas.
Yes.
Especially when it's very difficult, you may want to access somebody's summary of that text because it might be simpler. And for me, cross-referencing is a study skill. Really, especially when you're dealing with, let's say, philosophy na talagang dugo utak, diba? You might need some simpler ways, or at least reading through the difficult text is note the questions that you have, is there an easier way that this can be explained? And then that's what you ask your teacher or your professor.
Okay. So we have one question from Anonymous. It's unrelated to the topic, but the person mentioned that I heard that you do HR work, and my question is, besides the resume, what are other details that you watch out or look for from people who are applying for a job? Any tips as well? Thank you.
Oh my God.
I think that's good.
Yeah, the interview, you have to be able to answer the questions. That's the bottom line. How well do you answer the questions?
Yeah, but it's a complete...
Yeah, but because you see, okay, let's make that a study skill. You have to study how to answer interview questions. Like my daughter worked for HR for a long time, and she said, "Mom, it's almost unbelievable how people come into interviews without preps. You see, studying and learning is about preparation. What are the standard questions? You see, if you're asked, tell me about yourself, and you're gonna read to them what you submitted in your resume." My daughter says, "Yun na yun." And those are standard questions. Why? Tell me about yourself. Why do you want to work for us? What can you give us that other people don't have? Yung i-prep nyo na. Yes.
Interesting, yeah, because that's also very true. A lot of people, put in the work on preparing their resumes, their portfolios.
That's the Pareto.
Yeah.
80% CV, the 20% interview na wala.
Yeah, and most of them just go to the interview, hoping or thinking that they can actually wing it, no, not knowing that you have to prep for it din nga pala.
Yes, you have to prep. Don't go in cold. Because even things like, why do you want to work for us? You have to know something about the company. Don't go in blind. Because those are the trick questions. When they say, why do you want to work for us? Or, what do you know about us?
Yes.
God, if you cannot answer that question, hindi ka na ma-hire. Kasi parang ang random lang, di ba? Ang random.
Yeah.
Basta kung sinong pumasa sa interview. But the interview is good because if you are scheduled for an interview, it means you passed the first test. Your CV was interesting enough to give you the time to listen to you. Now, the thing is, don't waste their time.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. We have a question from LA Manalaysay from Facebook. This pandemic, malaki po ang impact ng family issues sa online classes. there were times na nahihirapan ako mag-function dahil sabay-sabay yung conflicts. I've been anxious for many months, but I find studying as my escape. Is it normal kahit imbalance ang mental health condition ko po?
First of all, I think yung anxiety, all of us are feeling it. You are not alone. And that's why people now are more open talking about it. Like if this had been any other time, parang mag-hesitate ka pa to tell people I'm anxious about what's going on. But now people understand that there's really so much uncertainty. And I do understand what you're saying. Just very recently, I gave a parent seminar. Parents, children, you are all anxious, you are all stressed, and you just have to empathize with each other. You know, parents are concerned, especially when they're older, health issues, if there are job issues as well. So kailangan habaan talaga ang pisi sa pag-iintindi sa isa't isa because it's unusual times. And like I said, for the very important things, I don't think any parent is going to say, hindi, magluto ka. Because if you say, Mom, I have to finish a term paper that is due tomorrow, then you negotiate that. Maybe yung sinabi ko kaninang matrix, no? Baka pwede naman i-delegate to somebody else so that you can concentrate on what needs to be focused. And sometimes it's good to tell our parents, like my daughter, she says, Mom, I will be out of touch. Isang bahay lang kami, pero minsan hindi kami nagkikita-kita kasi sasabihin sa akin, Mom, I have to finish something. So kahit nalolonely na ako, tinetext ko sila, oh, what are you guys doing? Nirerespeto ko yung space that they need because they are articulated it. They articulated it.
Right. We have another question. It's kind of broad from Facebook as well, from Suiko Gigitnoli Jr. How to handle a bad situation? He didn't indicate any details, but just that, I guess. How do you handle a bad situation?
Well, like you said, it's very hard to answer. But in a general sense, ako kasi, okay, just as a personal sharing, this past 3.5 years have been really, really tough on me. I lost my father in 2017. My husband died very suddenly in 2018 while playing basketball. And then early 2020, my mother passed away. And I'm very close to the three of them. And right after my mother died, COVID happened. So talk about a bad situation. And then in the middle of the pandemic, I was forced to go into retirement. At least nga, nakapag-retire ako ng maayos, no? It was not what they call that, a redundancy. And that was it's a bad situation. But maybe as a life coach, it's good that I learned that when you say a best self, it does not necessarily have to be the best self in the best situation. I have discovered, and also from all the many interactions, even readings, that you come face to face with your best self in adversity. Because you really get to know who you are, your mettle, your strength, your courage, when all of these things are happening to you. So mindset, kaya nga check your mind and your heart set. Because I'm not even saying like I have very, very deep grief moments up to now. But I always look at it in terms of, okay, what can I bring out of this situation? In what ways do I make myself better as a result? You know, and I no justifications to other people because, okay, let me just stretch para maintindihan. No? When my husband died, I continued working, and people would always tell me, "Oh, you still look so good, ganyan." And I didn't know if it was a compliment or not, because to me, I was already in a bad situation that was totally out of my control. And the little things I could control was waking up, dressing up, putting my kilay on. I could control that. So it was not because I wanted to look good, but the good there was that it gave me something to do. You know, it was the impetus to stand up from the bed. And kasi bad situations can really break you, or you can have a phoenix moment with it.
Nice.
rise from your ashes.
Yeah.
So the best self can be the best self in the worst possible scenario. Like even in this pandemic, ang dami examples. Tale of two cities, the best of times, the worst of times. I mean, people have stepped up in ways that are so amazing, and there are also some who choose to take the other route. But yes, I hope that answered your question. Please email me. If there's a very specific situation.
Yeah. I actually agree, and just from that short explanation that you gave, I already learned a lot. So we have another question. What can you say about people who use procrastination as a coping mechanism or have it as a trauma response? Is there a way to fix that?
That's what I'm saying, that a bad situation becomes worse. Because to me, you have to find a positive response. And because I'm not negating, I'm not minimizing the experience of trauma. But at some point, you've got to pick yourself up. And that's why we say resilience. No? Hugutin mo yung grit na meron ka. Because, like I said, ito na eh. Ito na yung reality natin ngayon. It's making the best of the situation. And because if that is your response, your inner self is calling to you. That's why you're even asking this question, because you know that you should be able to respond in better ways. But the difficult thing here is, kaya nga, self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence, self-management, kasi ikaw lang makakagawa. Yung mga tao sa tabi mo can be just supportive. Even kami, when my husband died, kaming mag-iina, we were grieving in different ways. And we just had to support each other, by saying, oh, did you finish her like that? Because really the tendency is to just want to lie down and cover your head with a blanket. Pero, it's i-encourage. Pero in the end, decision mo gumising ka, tumayo ka, mag-toothbrush ka, Because sometimes it has to boil down to that. It's feeding, stand up, stop the Netflix, pick up the book. Okay, if you cannot focus, at least one paragraph, one page at a time, but you've got to move yourself, even just half a step, one step. Kaya nga sinasabi ko no victory is too small. If for a few minutes you were able to address your procrastination, give yourself that pat on the shoulder. O sige, nag-slide ako uli. O sige, pick up ko na naman uli. Kasi ganun lang eh. Sabi nga nila, it takes 10 days to form a habit. So even our procrastination was formed in about the same amount of time. Nagiging procrastination is a habit. It's the habit of not doing what needs to be done. So let's answer by doing what needs to be done. By the strategies. Eat the frog. Do your Eisenhower matrix.
Yeah. Actually. And to be honest, ang dami actually strategies, no? Na nabigay mo na. I mean, this entire webinar session is brimming with practical tips on how to study effectively. And I hope a lot of our students who will be watching this webinar will pick up on all of those, no? But I also encountered some students who are afraid to read. They're so scared to read. They always say, I don't read. I don't like reading. Do you have any advice for students? Because you mentioned a while ago that you have to read and it's part of your learning process, your journey as a person. Yeah. So what is your advice?
It's one of the must-haves eh. So like to me, you don't have to like reading, but you need to do it. And even me, I'm a reader. I'm a voracious reader. There's not a day that goes by I'm a reader. But there are things that I have to read that I don't like to read. But because I give myself a why. Why do I need to read this? Because I need to make a report. So I will read it. Now, in the end, sabi ko nga, check your feelings. Nobody's saying you have to like it. Diba? Like, when I started teaching literature, oh my God, messianic. I want all my students to love literature. Do you know that by the end of By the end of 2 years, if I can get you to appreciate one book, one poem, one essay more than you did when we started, I'm good with that, because there really some people it's not their thing.
Yeah.
Oo, pero you cannot go through life without reading. Even if you go to work, documents, magbabasa ka, minutes of meetings, and pag hindi ka nagbasa, pag nag-usap na, nag-discussion na, paano ka magko-contribute. So yun yung why I don't like it, but yun.
Yeah. Well, I do have an experience with a graduate, no. Hindi rin siya mahilig magbasa, doesn't really like to read, but when he found value on something that he is doing right now, and then he found a book that will help him, mas nagkaroon siya ng interest to read that book actually. So I guess also finding your passion on something, no, or aligned to what you're doing can also help.
The why. Find your why.
Yeah.
Because of course the why, when it's the positive why, wow, di ba? But when the why is actually mabigat sa damdamin, kailangan konti pang push. You have to push yourself even more. Yun yung determination.
Actually, that's what I also liked about that particular advice, yung get past your feelings. May nag-quote nga nun ulit sa Facebook, because that's a common problem for our students, you know, na they don't really like the subject that much, or they don't like what they're learning, especially math. So, but by looking at the why and just focusing on the small tasks that they need to accomplish, maybe they might be able to, you know, finish that particular assignment.
Yeah, because even yung personalities, no? Like when you start working, you cannot choose your teammates. You cannot choose the people you work with. There's somebody there that you're not gonna like. So let's not think of it in terms of I have to like everything and I have to like everybody. Ako nga sinasabi ko sa corporate life, sa relationships, we just need to be able to work together. I don't have to love you. I don't have to like you. I just have to be able to work with you. So if you have a group mate, let's say that's what's getting in the way, you know, what you call this, get past the feeling. Nayayabangan ka, naiinis ka, nalalazy ka, and then assert. Sit down the person and say, I feel that, I mo. Kasi that's another communication strategy. No? You don't say you're keeping the group from accomplishing, but you say we feel that we are not going to meet our deadline because you have not submitted your part of the work. Is there anything wrong? Because don't assume right away that it's a lack of care. Baka nga may pinagdadaanan, you know. So this is when we check each other's feelings. Kaya nga I start with, how are you today? Because sometimes people want to do, but if they have mental health issues, it might be what is stopping them from achieving. And that's why for me, seek the help if you need it. Now, I think I saw a question pop up there. Can teachers recognize anxiety? Talaga yata dun.
Can teachers or professors tell if a student has anxiety?
The sensitive ones, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ako kasi I look at performance eh. Like when a student is not performing, I always call the student already for discussion, like what's going on.
Yeah.
Is there something going on? You have not submitted 3 projects or 3 journal entries. And sometimes, maybe you can invite me for the teachers. You will hear stories that because you asked. Like I had one, you know, she wasn't passing anything. And I told her, you're a senior. If you don't pass your first grading period, mahihirapan na tayo. She was in my advisory class na humabol. Okay? I was really worried about her because the other teachers were also telling me. And then she told me that her mother was working abroad and she had 3 brothers and a father. And she had to do everything for them. Wash clothes. She said, Miss, naglalaba ako hanggang 2 in the morning. Tapos pagdating ko sa bahay, kailangan ko magluto. Gigising ako ng 5 o'clock, syempre tutulog siya ng 4:00, pagtapos nagluto pa siya ng breakfast baon. I said, I need to talk to your father. Kasi doon pala nagagaling yung low performance. No? Kasi may realities na pinagdadaanan. So I called the father and I said, do you want your daughter to graduate? Then you all have to pull your weight. You know, she cannot do everything. It's either you get a helper or you distribute the chores to your sons. So may kwento. No? But to the students who are listening to me right now, I told you in the beginning, right? We are not mind readers. So sometimes you need to articulate to us what you are going through. And I'm not saying that everybody, because I might spread a false sense of hope, not everybody is willing to accommodate. It depends on the personality of whoever, diba? And this is where your grit is going to come in. And that's why ultimately the end of it is, what can you do for yourself?
Yeah. Actually, I kind of like that word that you said, resilience, because it's grit, and I feel as we grow older, we kind of lose that grit. So, do you have any tips on how to sustain that grit and be resilient as a person?
So resilience is a millennial term actually, because and this is one thing we have noticed in the industry of trainers, of life coaches, that medyo yung grit, maybe because this is a generation that grew up with being told they can be everything and anything they want to be. And sometimes it doesn't work. Nawala yung grit na I need to hang on to dear life for this. Na parang, like, if we're gonna bring this to the corporate world, bakit ang taas ng attrition? Hindi na promote in 3 months, magre-resign. Kasi feeling nila entitled na sila sa promotion after 3 months. So unlike kami, when we grew up, we were told, you have to work for it. It will take time. So yung grit mo, sumasama dun sa paniniwala na, I need to earn my stripes. I need to earn my points. And that's what keeps you going, you know, yung grit mo. Tapos, yung resilience is, when it doesn't work out, no matter how much of the effort you gave, let's say you worked so hard, you wanted an A. Ano ba ang grading system sa inyo? 1, 4? How is it? And then nakuha mo lang is 3. So na-disappoint ka ng sobra-sobra. But it's an external factor di ba? So dun yung resilience, yung bounce back, yun yung phoenix moment. I shall rise from my ashes with a wider wingspan. Kasi it's lessons in life. Ang daming pwedeng mangyari sa atin. Dreams unrealized, you know, and I learned that lesson. So I used to mouth it prior to the successive losses I suffered. But now I am such a believer that it's really how you will see things and how you will, yung coping mechanisms. And okay, one last thing in terms of this resilience. Never, ever, ever give up on yourself. Trust in your second wind and your third and your fourth. Never give up on yourself.
All right. Thank you very much. That's a really nice way on how for us to wrap up this particular session. Thank you very much, Miss Marisyll. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. I don't want it was helpful. I hope it was a helpful session.
It is a very helpful session. I think maybe we can talk about the future sessions because there are a lot of issues and topics that came up that maybe we can invite you again so that you can help us out.
Sure. Of course. Yes, anytime.
Those who are watching this live stream, so
yeah, I believe in the young. I really, really do.
Yeah, I know. Maybe all of these sessions, the upcoming sessions, will also be able to help them, especially cope with this particular situation that we are in. No?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's all we can do right now is to cope.
Yeah.
And be patient.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much,
Okay.
Miss Marisyll.
Thank you,
That's all the
Eric.
time that we
Thank you
have.
to the Theater Arts Department. Yes. Maraming salamat. And to all the people helping us out. I'll not name your, except Glenn and all the students helping. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I had a great time. I'm going to go to the Facebook and check out the comments. And if you have questions you want me to answer, just email me and follow me on Instagram. So it's Pengson Marisyll. You
Right.
can DM me there also.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Again, thank you. Thank you, Miss Marisyll. All right. We encourage you to continue the conversation online through various social media channels. You can tag our speakers using the social media handles that she has provided on our poster and she just mentioned. Please don't forget to use hashtag Betha so that others can also learn from your thoughts. We invite you to help us improve this webinar series by completing a quick survey, which will be posted occasionally in the Facebook comment section of this live stream. We are open to suggestions for future webinar topics that might interest you. So please take advantage of that survey so you can tell us what upcoming webinars we should be producing for you. A recording of our session will be available on our YouTube channel in the coming weeks, so please check back to this Facebook page in the coming days for the announcement. Please keep yourselves updated to our webinar sessions and fresh new episodes that we will be creating in the coming months based on your suggestions. And while you're here, might as well like and share our page. So, speaking of upcoming webinars, we have a very special webinar on April 15, tomorrow, Accessibility, thinking about accessibility and inclusivity in digital projects for the performing arts. We have our friends from the School of Deaf Education and Applied Studies and our friends from Resources for the Blind Incorporated to help us out in thinking about our future projects and how we can make them inclusive and accessible. On April 16, we have an exciting, informative, and certainly entertaining webinar from theater practitioners who have crossed over to the Kumu side in RT community, using Kumu as a creative digital platform for theater. So we have Mr. Eman Feliciano, Ms. Olivia Christine Nieto, and Mr. JV Canta as guests. And lastly, we close the season of Be Together on April 17 with the episode Up to Date, Applications to Boost Productivity and Student Life with Ms. Isabella Peterson, Ms. Julia Enriquez, and myself. Again, all these webinars are curated and produced for you, so please check our Facebook page for updates. And lastly, this webinar series is entirely online, free, and open to the public as part of Benilde's fundraising collaboration with DLSP Philippines Kada Uno on the project BARKada Uno, Benilde Artists Rising, #Bangon Artista, an online fundraising event that seeks to assist the most vulnerable members of the arts and culture sectors. So please donate what you can to these bank channels. We have Banco de Oro, Bank of the Philippine Islands, Rizal Commercial Bank Corporations, Security Bank. And you can also pay or donate via PayPal. That's DeLaSalle Philippines. Please send your deposit slips to kadauno@delasal.ph. As we end this webinar episode, allow me to thank those who have helped in making this series possible. The School of Design and Arts, headed by our Dean Architect Doti Acela. Benilde Arts and Culture Cluster, headed by Associate Dean Magdalena De Leon. Our faculty and students in the Theater Arts program. Benilde's Culture and Arts Unit with Ms. Louise Diane Estrella as OIC Director. Our media and communications partners, Cultural Promotions Team, headed by Ms. Julia Enriquez. We would, of course, like to thank the invaluable efforts of our OJTs from the Theater Arts and Production Design programs. Again, we thank you all for joining us today, and we hope to see you tomorrow, same time, same channel, for our next webinar. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Seizing the Emptiness was actually ideated in Taipei, Taiwan, when we attended the World Stage Design last July 2017. Eric and Shema attended the workshop that was conducted by Dr. Miljana Zekovic and architect Vishna Zugic. We actually asked them if they could conduct a workshop here. Eventually, we invited several programs from the architecture, interior design, production design, and design foundation to participate in the workshop.
What we would want the participants to discover is how they can open up themselves and learn how to connect to spaces and allow the spaces to tell more about itself and its nature, to follow their impulses as a creators, performers, designers, to find ways to tap into those potentials.
The main goal of this event is actually to open students and participants' minds toward interdisciplinary education and interdisciplinary research, and we will try somehow to merge all the skills coming from architecture and the performing arts in order to explore further methodologies that are leading to a site-based event, for instance, as our narrative embodiment or delayering, and we will definitely try somehow to influence one another in order to achieve something that is beyond both architecture and the performance practice and leading to an unanticipated result.
The workshop was really fun and really interesting because here we learned how to use the architectural design of the space and turn it into an element of creating a scene or portraying a message.
The workshop was really fun. Natutunan ko yung importance ng space. With the past 2 days na we've been working and doing stuff together, I've learned to appreciate space even more as an artist and as a student here.
Everything is important, from the exercises to the nuggets of wisdom we learn. But to me, what I find very significant is the actual dynamics of your co-members of the workshop, each having their own fantastic personalities, creative minds. Sometimes they clash, sometimes they blend, and it's just so amazing to be part of that profusion of talent, of wonderful ideas and characters, building up in one direction that the workshop organizers have laid out for us.
These kinds of formats in education are probably something most inspiring and most interesting that they could get. So every sort of collaboration between different disciplines and different cultures, different people, is always something that you can gain a lot from only if you're open to it. So I would suggest for everyone to continue these kinds of activities.
I think this is just amazing. I've heard many stories about how Benilde grew up from a very small school to something that's really huge, and the best thing is that College of St. Benilde managed to somehow maintain this quality of an alternative educational frameworks, which I think is essential for students and for future professionals.
I hope the collaboration between Benilde's Theater Arts program and the University of Novi Sad Architecture program in Serbia will continue so that the knowledge imparted will be shared amongst everybody.
Suzuki method is a rigorous physical and vocal discipline which enables to strive the wholeness of the body of an actor for him to be able to use it as a tool for artistic expression.
In terms of breathing, in terms of core, and various aspects. It's actually Japanese influenced, and it's something that we can incorporate into our acting since I am an acting major, and it's something pretty new.
For me, at first I thought it was just about acting, not the type where you cry, you laugh, you get angry, but I thought it was more on just internalizing and thinking about the character, and then by the time we got here, I was wrong.
Learning is a two-way process. I learn a lot from them and them learning from me. That's always the joy that I'm always considering. And I always get excited to actually teach and be
faces, because at least I am able to impart something to develop their skills as artists and at the same time to develop their well-being.
I learned about awareness, especially with using all of your senses to better your performances and to improve your connection with your co-actors.
Working with him, I've learned a lot. I've learned some things, I've relearned, I unlearned, I deconstructed some things I already knew. And I was able to take some things and at the same time bring out my authentic self into those things that he has taught us. Working with him was so surreal. It was nice to see someone with so much experience, someone really well acquainted in the industry, and it's such an honor to work with Sir Bong.